This morning is hemorrhaging viewers as a result of the reported unpleasantness between Holly and Phil. I'm amazed, because though radio is my preferred entertainment at that time of day, I've been eagerly tuning into Holly and Phil in the hope of sensing the murderous vibes. Sad to report it all looks pretty much like business as usual. So during a snooze-making interview with some old geezer in Doncaster about his lawn, I allowed my imagination to run riot. Back in the studio, surely Holly had Phil in a brutal headlock with her thumb in his eye, only releasing him and smoothing her hair as we said farewell to the lawn boar. And then, serious face, the pair reminded us that it was Mental Health Awareness Week, isn't it always? And we had a phone-in about exam stress with Phil nodding sagely and Holly looking solemn with her head on one side. But beneath the table, was Holly slowly inserting her vicious yellow stiletto into Phil's ankle? Had all sharp implements been removed from that faux kitchen set? It's my favorite TV show now. Watching Harry's lonely entrance was sad. Harry may have a few regrets. Jennifer Selway, have we lost the art of traveling? Soon we'll be able to fly to Sydney in less than 2 hours as long as we go via space. It will become an intercontinental travel option accessible to anybody according to the UK Civil Aviation Authority, which is funding medical studies into the effects of suborbital space flights. Forgive me if I don't join in the general rejoicing. Apart from the fact that passengers will be advised to clench their buttocks on takeoff to counteract the G-forces, how are the flight attendants going to explain that one? And may even lose consciousness briefly. What about the delights of the long-haul flight? Let's agree that most short flights are a pain in the buttocks, clenched or otherwise, because you spend longer than the flight in the airports at either end and you either have to take your own food on board or buy a 10-quid toasted sandwich in cellophane that burns your mouth, all washed down with halitosis-flavored coffee. But I'm a sucker for a long-haul flight. For one thing, people on long-haul flights don't spend ages squeezing unfeasibly large items of hand luggage into the overhead lockers before takeoff because passengers crisscrossing the world are more likely to put suitcases in the hold. Reducing travel time shouldn't always be top priority. Have we forgotten how to enjoy the ride? I love the feeling that it will take me a long time to get to wherever it is I'm going. For me, there's still that little free zone of excitement as I slide into my seat that will be home for a few hours. Travel. Yeah. Then the drinks trolley arrives with those dear little miniature bottles and the tiny bag of pretzels. If your flight to far away is only going to take 2 hours, how can you settle down to the delight of selecting 4.5 movies and the chicken, beef or pasta option on the menu? In 2 hours you'd barely have time for a 96-minute rom-com. After the chicken, beef or pasta, I love the way the flight attendants pretend it's night time and we all adopt our sleeping upright positions or watch an extra film. I love the recommended walk, to avoid deep vein thrombosis, up to where the crew is gossiping. I love the map that tracks your progress across the globe. A long-haul flight offers a blissful escape from reality. Nobody can bother you and for a few hours you are free. Both you and your phone are in flight safe mode. So, no, I don't want get to Sydney in 2 hours, thanks very much. Don't miss. Advertisers must move away from this woke nonsense, says Esther McVeigh. Latest, England children are best readers. I couldn't believe my ears when it was announced that England's 10-year-old children were the best readers in Western countries in the 5-yearly Progress in International Reading Literacy study. Apparently England was in 4th place, behind Singapore, Hong Kong, and Russia. I'm flabbergasted that this piece of good news made it onto the BBC bulletin, so ingrained is the tendency to talk our country down. Truss bent on starting World War III. Why, pray, is Liz Truss, Prime Minister for 5 minutes and now a lowly backbencher, giving saber-rattling speeches in Taiwan to the effect that China must be seen as a threat and that government policy should reflect this. Having done her best to wreck Britain's economy overnight, she now seems bent on starting World War III. Depp makes a comeback. Johnny Depp, 59, is making a comeback. Not an apologetic, softly spoken comeback. This is a roaring comeback. Last week his latest film, a stinker by all accounts but never mind, Jean du Barry, opened the Cannes Film Festival, which is a major honor in the motion picture world. What's more, although he looks a trifle embummed these days, he's just signed a $20 million deal to be the face of Dior Sauvage, so we can look forward to more commercials featuring a brooding Johnny unaccountably digging a hole in the desert. Perhaps his time on the naughty step is over. As it is, I can barely remember the details of all those court appearances and libel cases with ex-wife Amber Heard, and the stories of booze and violence which turned him into an emblem of what we now call toxic masculinity and outraged women, etc., etc. I don't know about you, but I find it's getting quite exhausting having to remember all the people of whom I must disapprove. Warzone is overused. Warzone is such an overused phrase. A rock festival cleanup, an A&E ward, a teenager's bedroom, I've heard them all described as a war zone. When someone torched 13 cars in Wimborne, a witness said it was like a war zone. Rubbish, I thought. Until I saw the pictures. I understand Sussex skepticism. Sorry to hear that the Sussexes were involved in a near-catastrophic car chase with paparazzi photographers in New York the other day. One had thought that it was only here in Britain that people were so beastly to the poor darlings. But I sense a certain skepticism from some quarters, including, funnily enough, their taxi driver, who said that there had not been a chase. While the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, probably thinking of the traffic, said I would find it hard to believe there was a 2-hour, high-speed chase.
To us.